Hey guys, John from the John Muir Show here, and obviously a very sad day. We found out about it as the show was going on today. We're able to give you updates throughout the show of the terrible shooting that had happened down in the state of Texas at Santa Fe High School, where there were several students who were killed by a gunman, a bunch of others who were injured, hearing that there were explosives planted inside and around the school as well. Just absolutely terrible. What it is that happened down there, and just, of course, the latest in a series of tragic events that have been carried out by complete madmen throughout the country, whether it's at schools, whether it's at malls, whether it's at theaters, so many different public spaces. We've seen things like this happen. And, of course, first and foremost, our thoughts and prayers from this show go out to all of those who were involved and the family and friends of those lives that were senselessly lost. And unfortunately, once again, as we're just trying to send out our thoughts and prayers, many of us who can't be down there, so we figure the best thing that we can possibly do, at least I know in my Christian faith, is to pray to my God and ask, Lord, please be with these people, please be with their families and friends of those whose lives have been lost, because that's the best thing in my belief and in I know many other people's belief that we can do at this point in time, since we can't be physically there. But unfortunately, once again, you have people from the left who have already seen, this took less than like a half an hour after the news came out that there were lives lost, where there are people who are responding to tweets from politicians who are coming out on their own and saying, oh no, take your thoughts and prayers and shove it. We need more than thoughts and prayers. Yeah, I understand that, we do need people who are actually down there responding to it. But guess what? For those of us who can't, like I said, thoughts and prayers, that's the best we can do. And to us, it's not just some sham. When I say thoughts and prayers, I actually put that person in my thoughts. I actually pray for them, and I actually do believe that the Lord is listening and it makes a difference. So don't you dare come down here and try and condemn me. Oh, your thoughts and prayers. Yeah, you know what? I'm doing something that is a positive. You don't have to do the same if you don't believe the same way I do, but don't tell me that my way of feeling that I can try and reach out and try and do anything I can to benefit the situation and those involved, that it's some sort of a joke, because it absolutely is not. I am sick and tired of hearing this after every single time that there's a tragedy, and some of us folks in the religious community say that we're keeping somebody in our thoughts and prayers. That right there is the first thing that I have to get off my chest, but trust me, there is more as well, because once again, you see individuals blaming the firearm that was being used in this instance and saying that is the reason that the shooting happened. Guess what? Last I checked, since the last shooting, it hasn't changed. A gun is still an inanimate object. It does not have a mind of its own. Usually, actually, all the time when this stuff happens, you know what does have to happen? Let's think about this for a second. Oh, I know. There's some madman who is behind this whole shooting, who has the gun, who is pulling the trigger, who is hell-bent on carrying out some absolutely sinister act. I mean, every single time we see it. And guess what? There are times where you remove the gun from the equation with a tragedy, and guess what? There is a knife, there is an explosive, there is a vehicle, there is something there to take its place, no matter what. Whatever the tool is that's going to be used, and again, a gun is just a tool in these instances, it happens. It doesn't matter what kind it is. You know what does not get removed? You know what's present in every single one of these situations? The madman who is pulling the trigger on the gun, or who is setting off the explosive, or who is using the knife to stab somebody. That is the thing that remains constant. You have to be an adult. You have to just have some damn common sense about you. And you have to realize you have to blame the correct source. And the person who should be blamed for what happened down in Texas, it's not difficult to figure out. It is the person who was pulling the trigger on the gun. I don't know why we can't understand that. And unfortunately, there's far too many people in this country who just do not understand that. They think, oh, well, you know what, we just need to take people's guns away because that's going to be fine. That's going to solve all of our problems. We just forget the Second Amendment, get rid of it, and everything's going to be rosy in this country. Well, guess what? I've got some news for you. I mean, you can stop living in Candyland, because that is not going to happen. You go ahead, you try and get rid of the Second Amendment. You know what you're going to do? You're going to take the guns away from millions upon millions of law-abiding Americans who aren't going to be happy about it. But you know what? Because they are law-abiding Americans, they'll go along with whatever the new laws in place are. And these people, like the person responsible for what happened in Texas here, I mean, how many laws did this individual break in what he did today? Do you really think there is any law you can put in place that is going to stop this sinister son of a gun from doing what he did? Absolutely not. He is, no matter what, going to find a way to do it. Either he's going to get some other means of carrying this out, a vehicle, an explosive, you name it, or guess what? He's just going to illegally obtain a gun because he obviously doesn't care about the law. So what's breaking one more gun law? I mean, that pales in comparison to the laws he's breaking by killing people. It's just absolutely absurd to think that's going to make any sort of a difference whatsoever. But yet we continue to hear it from folks on the left, and we continue to hear it from these Parkland kids. Yeah, the Parkland kids from, a few months ago. Again, I feel terrible for what they had to go through, but they have been so indoctrinated by all these mainstream media members, by these liberal politicians, by their educators, that all we've heard is, oh yeah, guns are evil, take away the guns. Well, all these kids have been doing the whole time is showing they have no knowledge of guns, they clearly have no knowledge of the laws of this land, and they're continuing to try and push after, this shooting today. Right away, these kids are, David Hogg and Emma Gonzalez, they're on Twitter talking about how, oh, we're gonna stand for these kids and we're gonna have everyone's guns taken away. That's not gonna help these kids. That's not gonna prevent future tragedies. We'll get to that in 1 second, but first, just to give you a little bit of an inside perspective when it comes to some of these Parkland kids. Yeah, Emma Gonzalez. So just earlier this week, she was speaking about the matter of guns and shootings, and here's what she said. Referring to anybody who wants to have an AR-15. Go join the Army if you want to have fun shooting a weapon. Do you really think that people go into the military and go overseas and risk their own lives? Do you think they do that because they want to have fun? Is that the point? No, this is the most difficult job in the world, and these are selfless men and women who are going overseas, who are putting their safety in jeopardy. Also, there are people back in this country like you and me, and in your case, so you can spew the nonsense that you spew. And you have the audacity to say, oh, they're just over there having fun in the middle of the desert. Do you really think that they view that as fun? It is a dangerous job. Show some damn respect, why don't you? And then actually having the audacity to come out and say, oh, well, you know what? Oh, yeah, but with guns, yeah, you don't need an AR-15. Yeah, okay, well, you're right. Nobody does need an AR-15 if you're an American civilian, but here's what's so wrong about that. Is that every law-abiding American has the right to have an AR-15 if they want to have an AR-15, but you clearly don't care to acknowledge that. You clearly don't care about the law. You would take the Constitution, the law of this land if you could, and you take it to the bathroom with you and use it as a piece of toilet paper because you just want to defecate all over it. That is so clear from the words and actions that you've been given this past 3 months for us to see. It is absolutely unbelievable. Look, we don't need to politicize this issue. We don't need to use this as an anti-gun narrative. We need to come together as Americans because these shootings, these tragedies, they are going to continue to happen until we can all come to the table. Just put all these partisan politics aside because this is not a partisan issue. Protecting human lives, making sure Americans are safe. This is something that it's a Democrat, it's a Republican, it's an independent issue. We all need to come together on this. We need to sit down at the table and just actually recognize the real cause, work on ways that we can try to identify any of these deeply instilled mental problems that these individuals who carry out these shootings have, and train people to better recognize what kind of signs it is that we have to look for based on the signs that keep popping up for all the people who've been responsible for these acts in recent months and years, and actually get these people help before it's too late. We are never going to 100% be able to say, okay, you know what, we can prevent school shootings. There will never be another school shooting or a stabbing or a vehicle being rammed into people on a bike path. We can never 100% prevent these from happening. But we can, if we sensibly address this, greatly reduce the risk of these things happening again, and it's going to take all of us come to the table. So you know what? I'm here. There are tens of millions of my fellow Americans here. For all of you who are still hung up on using this for politics, we're waiting at the table. Please come join us for the sake of our fellow Americans to try to limit how much more damage needs to be done. That's all the time that I have for today, but tune in to the John Muir Show each and every weekday morning on WTAQ, WHBL, and WSAU at John Muir WTAQ on both Twitter and Facebook. Have a great weekend, folks. Until next time, I'm out.